Hi, I'm Heidi Steffen. I am the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Sales for Titan TV Inc. in Cedar Rapids, and I also volunteer as a marketing manager for Linn County Fair. What I'm going to go over today is kind of tell you a little bit about how I got into marketing, what are the kind of different jobs you can do in marketing, and what kind of education that you might need. So let me start back to where I first started. I was in middle school, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to be when I was older. The more I thought about it, I really loved commercials. I love to analyze commercials. So think about a commercial you last saw. What do you remember about that commercial? Was it the color? Was it old people? When I was younger and I'd watch cartoons on the weekends and all of a sudden I see an old person on the commercial, I was like, well, am I supposed to be watching this show? You know, what do you remember about the commercials? I always go back to Super Bowl. What was your favorite Super Bowl ad that you've ever remembered? Think about that for a minute. That is marketing. That's advertising. That's what I love to do. So that's when I decided I want to get into marketing. When I got into high school, I wanted to get some experience. So in high school, I actually joined our newspaper at Washington High School here in Cedar Rapids. With that, I actually sold ads. So I went out to local businesses and I asked, hey, would you put an ad in our newspaper? So think about prom or homecoming. So I'd go to Heidi and ask for floral. I'd go to your prom shops and things like that to see if they would put an ad in our newspaper. I also got to have the opportunity to create my own ad or create a campaign around it. So I was also president against Students Against Drinking and Driving. I had some ideas that I wanted to do and I went to one of our graphics. That's one of the biggest things that people don't understand with marketing is you don't have to be a graphic person. There is graphics, but you could be on the other side. So one of the things that I did is I went to our graphic designer for the newspaper and I came up with some ideas. So if you can see here are some of the actual ads that I did as part of my newspaper in Students Against Drinking and Driving. This top one actually got a state award for the idea behind it. There's not a lot to it, but it was just, again, the idea and the concept. So that's kind of how I got my foot wet. Then into college, I went to Cornell College in Mount Vernon. I did a double major in international business and Russian with an emphasis on marketing. During college, again, I wanted to get that experience. You know, I really wanted to verify that marketing was what I wanted to do. So one of the things I did one summer was I went and worked at Yellowstone National Park. Now you think, what would working at a national park have to do with marketing? Well, I worked in a gift shop. I learned a lot about product placement. So imagine this is your shelf when you first come into a store. So think of a gift shop, for example. I learned a lot of things about where to place these items on a shelf. So if I'm an adult, you always want the highest or the item that you want to move the most or sell the most on the best eye level. So if this was my item that I wanted to sell, so it's a nice little blinky TV, I would want to make sure that I had it on the back, the correct shelving. Now, if I was a kid, I would put it on the lower shelf so that I could make sure that that kid product get moved compared to here. So I'm going to place my high-end product right here on the top shelf. So I learned a lot about that at Yellowstone. It was a great experience. And then later, another job I had in college over summer was working at Target. And you're like, what does Target have to do with marketing? I was able to, overnight, I was the one that went in and updated all the displays. So the next time you're in a grocery store or you're in Target or Walmart, look at some of the displays that they had. I learned about color. You know, think about colors. What does blue make you feel? Blue a lot of times is more calming. Red, some people think it's love, other people think it's angry. So that's what a lot of times too I learned about was color and what color meant for marketing and how that involved with marketing. So one of the things that I want to point out, so we are with Titan TV. You can see over here is my banner. We also have, this is all blue. So our branding for Titan TV is blue. One of the things I learned was that blue is the most neutral color that more people are neutral about. They have no strong feelings one way or another. So that's why a lot of businesses are blue. Now I want you to think a minute. Think about the businesses that have red. Businesses come into my mind are like Wendy's, the red in their logo. Target, again, has red in their logo. You think about yellow. What has yellow in it? Subways, what comes to mind for me? You know, maybe something yellow comes different for you, but that's the unique thing about colors. The other thing that comes into mind is green. You know, I want you to next time you go out and about and look at banks, okay? green is money. A lot of times people refer to green as money. So that's why a lot of times banks use green in their logos to then portray to you that they are there for money. They're all about money. So a lot of times colors have a subconscious meaning for their logos. So that was Yellowstone. I learned a lot there, learned more into it. After I graduated from college, I had the opportunity to start a small business importing different technology from Russia. The cool thing about that is I got to actually create all of the pamphlets. I got to create the website. I got to learn a lot about things. And it was really interesting as well. So this happened in 2000 and 2001. Now think about what happened in September of 2001. Just think a minute. If you think about it, it was 9/11, right? Why do you think a company that was importing technology from Russia all of a sudden didn't want to do any business after September 11? Again, it's the fear. So a lot of times in marketing, it's the perception of what might happen or the fear of a product or working with a business that's going to drive it. So marketing actually helps allow you to then make someone's perception your reality, or your reality their perception. So because of 9/11 and we were trying to import different technology from Russia, we called it quits. We just said, this isn't going to work. Then I wanted to move back. I was living in Georgia, back to Iowa, and I want to get into marketing. And everywhere I looked, it said, you need to get sales experience. And I'm like, why do I need sales experience for marketing? I didn't get it. I really didn't. I'm like, I just need to market a product. But the more I got into it, I got into sales, it made sense. If I can't sell a product, if I can't tell you that this stapler is great because it really, closed those papers together, then how am I going to market you that same stapler? So when I moved back to Cedar Rapids, I ended up getting a job at the radio station. So if you're familiar with K-Hawk, KRNA, KDAT, K-Hawk, and KRNA, I went out to local businesses and I sold them advertising. I worked with them to get a radio ad. A lot of them, this was more of a branding campaign. So branding is the idea of getting the business's name out there. Studies show that you have to see or hear things 3 times before you remember it. And radio is really good at getting that message out and getting that repetition with lower dollar amount. So I worked with a lot of local businesses and it was fun because I get to kind of be their individual marketing person that taught them how to correctly brand, or if it's an event, I would then correctly show them how to advertise for their event, because it's different to advertise for branding versus an event. One of my clients at the time was the Lincoln County Fair. This was back in 2005. They were just a very small fair at that time. After they did an advertising campaign with me on K-Hawk, they said, hey, we are really looking for somebody to help us with our marketing and a fair manager. Would you be interested? I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, I said, you know what? The one thing I didn't do was have an internship. And this could be a great opportunity to have an internship. That would be the one thing I would make sure that you keep in mind as you go through school, is to see if you can get an internship, not just necessarily in high school, in college as well. That would be the one thing I would highly recommend. It does one of 2 things. First of all, it allows you to get into that field that you're interested in. I know a lot of friends of mine that had a 4-year degree, and then they went out in the field that they want to get into and they realized it wasn't for them. So it allows you to get into that field and say, hey, is this really what I want? Second of all, an internship gives you that experience. Because a lot of times right out of college or even high school, you don't have the experience to get into that field, no matter what that field might be. It gives you that experience to say, yes, I worked at this company as internship and here's what I learned. So I then, as a volunteer, became the marketing manager for Lincoln County Fair. And I can tell you it was the best internship I've ever had. And 15 years later, I am still there as a volunteer. The fair is a very different than other things. So I was learning a lot with the fair about how to market to consumers, how to social media. So take a minute and think about all the social media platforms that you're on, that you use, okay? Maybe it's TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. Oh wait, maybe you're too young for Facebook and maybe that's your parents that are on it. Now there's another one called LinkedIn that maybe you're not aware of. So there's so much of these different platforms, and allowed me then with the fair be able to learn about them. I then was able to quit the radio station, and then I started at Titan TV. You're probably thinking, what is Titan TV? So Titan TV, we sell data and guide services to TV stations. So if you click on the guide on your TV, that's what we sell to TV stations, is that information. So I started off as a salesperson, but then with my experience with the fair, and they're like, hey, we're gonna do something with the sales. I'm like, actually, can we try this for marketing? Because I tried it at the fair and here's the experience that I had. So again, the internship, providing the experience, then evolves your career. So I kept bringing back more ideas to Titan TV from the experience I was getting with the fair. With that, my job, I continued to be promoted within that. So I went from sales to director of sales to VP of sales to eventually SVP of sales and marketing. Again, like I said before, there's a fine line between sales and marketing. So my job there allows me to then handle both of them. Now, kind of some fun things I want to talk about related to marketing is we talked about graphics. So you can see there's a lot of graphic stuff back here. So a lot of these things are actually what we do at trade shows for Titan TV. That's another thing. What is a trade show? I get asked this all the time. The best thing I try to explain to it, let's say March Madness. And instead of the top 8 teams competing on the basketball court, they're going to go to the US Cellular Center. We're going to put them in 8 different booths, or it's just a table, and then we're going to put all of you guys in the middle. They have to then have something at their booth that's going to attract you to their booth, right? To their place. And whoever has the most people at their booth by the end of the day wins March Madness. How would they do that? What would draw you to their booth? So some of the fun things that get drawn to our booth, we have, different papers here. The thing you'll notice too is always have our image on it. Other things, flash drive. This is not, you're like, what's a flash drive? It has all of it's also a zip drive, depending on what you call it, but it's something different. Let's say I have a blinky ball that drives you over. Maybe it's your favorite player. Your favorite player is going to be at that table. They're going to be signing autographs, or maybe they're handing out money. So again, a trade show gets everyone that's interested in that information and those products in one location and drives them to that businesses to learn more about them. So with that, with Titan TV, all of our clients are across the country. We only have 3 TV stations in our area. So we do most of the stuff via phone or internet or email. So you have to be very tech savvy related to that. But then we need to somehow make sure that they relate our product to them. So one of the things we do every year is we send out a Christmas card. So here's an example of a Christmas card we did one year. You'll see it has all of our faces. So one of the things that we learned, because people don't see us on a regular basis, is that if we included something personal like our image, our pictures, and sent it to them via mail, when they saw us at a trade show, they were like, oh, I remember your Christmas card. Now, not only do we do that, remember I told you about the 3 things? It takes 3 times for someone to remember your business, your name, who you are. So we send a business card or a Christmas card, then we send a postcard. So the postcard has more information about who we are, what we do, and it also has that same picture. And then when you arrive at our booth, we have this sitting at the front desk. Why do you think we would do that? Again, 3 images, 3 different times that you're going to remember who we are. The other thing you should also remember is our logo is included on everything. And you also see our logo is also the same colors. It's being consistent. That's the thing about marketing. Now, marketing, maybe you want to get into marketing and maybe you want to do the graphics. Again, I didn't do these graphics, but as the head of marketing, I told them what to do and how to do it and where to place it. So there's different things you can do related to marketing. So again, there's a lot of different things related to marketing and how you can get involved. One of the other things we can talk about is what I do for the fair. So I've got all this stuff, but the other fun stuff we do for the fair are pamphlets like this. So again, it's a little bit different. Now I'm advertising to consumers. I'm telling them more about the fair. And this one's actually advertising to local businesses to support the fair. And you'll see there's a lot of information. Again, I didn't do the graphics, but this is something that I helped put together as far as marketing. Now, some other questions I get related to marketing is, what other experience do you need to have? And I'll just go back to, it really depends what part of marketing you want, what part of marketing you like to get into. You can even, if you start your own business, this is what I always kind of say, even if you start your own business, you're going to have to need to know how to market. So everyone, think a minute. If you have to, pause and create your own business. If I was going to start a business someday, what would it be? You're going to ask yourself, what colors would I use? What name would I use for my business? Now, keep in mind, related to marketing, the simpler and more clear the name is, people are going to remember it. So if you are having a plumbing shop and you just name it JP Shop, no one knows what it is. But if it's JP Plumbing Shop, people will know what that is. So what's your business name? What colors? Remember we talked about colors. So what does that color mean? So if I'm a plumbing shop, maybe it's blue for water, right? I probably want to stay away from red because red could be, major problems related to plumbing. Yellow maybe. Again, think about what color you'd have for your business. And then think, if I had this business, where would I promote it? How would I advertise it? Would I advertise it on social media? If I advertise it on social media, what platforms would I use? So if I'm plumbing, I'm probably not going to put it on TikTok because that's younger generation and they probably don't own a house. So they probably don't need a plumber. I would probably advertise though on Facebook or promote my page on Facebook because that's the older generation and they're the ones that own houses and they're the ones that are going to need a plumber. But maybe I actually own a studio. It's a record studio. Then I would make sure I am on TikTok and I would make sure I put a lot of content on TikTok. So what's your company name, your logo, your colors, what social media platforms you would use? Take a minute, write this down and think about it. Alrighty, so hopefully you got your business. Now you can see it takes a lot from marketing. And it's not just you have to have a marketing major to get into marketing. The everyday business person has to think about marketing all the time. And because there's so much involved with marketing, that's why a lot of times they hire somebody to help them with it. There's even companies that would hire people to do social media. So if you love to get on social media, that could be something you could do. Hopefully you enjoyed my presentation today. The few things I just want you to remember is first, get an internship. Doesn't matter if it's in high school or college, get multiple. It allows you to learn more about the industry if that's something you like to do. And second, it gives you experience. And third, find something you love to do. What I've learned, this isn't work for me. This is my passion. I love what I do, and that's why I do it. Not only work with it Titan TV, but I also continue to volunteer as the marketing manager for Linn County Fair. Thank you again for your time today.